Hi, Joe.
Hi, Morv.
How
Okay.
you doing?
How you doing? Okay.
You're okay on Planet Zog, the war zone in
My favorite
2023?
my favorite Facebook person of the past 3 years. Okay.
Yeah, Joe, we've made friends through Facebook, but we're both concert instrumentalists, and that's what we've done on this planet, isn't it? Bring sound, music, and the frequency of benevolence through what we both do.
hmm
And neither of us are very impressed with the way things are going on planet Earth since 2020, are we? Plus, you and I have both shared that we saw from childhood what was going on here. And when we were chatting in private the other day, you made that brilliant comment, which it was like, that's it, Joe. Why aren't people able to be their own reference point as to what is going on this planet right now? Why are there so many re-perspectivizings according to, you made me laugh so much, Mercury retrograde
Right.
or incoming energies? So
Yes.
shall we start there, Joe? What would you like to say
Yeah.
about it?
Well, of course, that is, the culturally conditioned self. It comes under the umbrella of the culturally conditioned self, which is how everybody operates.
Yeah.
So everyone I mean, we live in a culture of the cult of the celebrity, the cult of this, the cult of that. So, I mean, right from the beginning, our cultural conditioning is to look outward. I mean, for everything, right? I mean, it's to always look outward and not have the reference point of our soul note
Yeah.
count for anything,
Yeah.
right? Right. And yes, you and I from childhood, we could feel the agenda of the planet. It's very rare, I was not the type of person that was too imprinted by the world around me. I was really an independent soul, and so
Yeah.
I'm my imprints were what I was inspired by, and I eschewed what I didn't like. Okay, I eschewed if it felt wrong, and everything felt wrong on this planet. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, there was a great difference when I went to the doctor's office and I was in the waiting room. I did not have the same feeling that I had when I was in my Italian grandmother's garden with the tomatoes growing. It was, I said, "Oh, there's a dichotomy to life here."
Yeah.
Okay, a very big dichotomy. This is how it's meant to be. Okay, this is an invasive thing,
Yeah.
right?
That's it, isn't it, Joe? I mean, bringing it like right here, right now, what I'm really disturbed about are all the false narratives that we're being given.
Mhm.
That, when you're saying like there is very little reference point from the soul note,
Mhm.
and you rejected, the cultural conditioning,
Mhm.
and me too within. But that also brings, well, nobody is living in freedom on this planet. That's the number one thing. People keep sloganizing everything like freedom is a state of mind. Oh, you're free if you believe you're free. And it's like,
Mhm.
no, we're really not, because we have a money system, and we
Right.
have we have poisoned soils, waters, airs, and a poisoned human body from childhood
Mhm.
experimentation, etc., etc. But
Mhm.
what do you make of these narratives? The evolution in human consciousness, the ascension, or the new Earth reality, the new future? Because these stories are ubiquitous, and I don't
Yes.
see anyone, bar maybe you and I and a couple of others we've noticed around the place, that will actually say it for what it is. And I said in 2020, this is a genocide. This is
Mhm.
a ubiquitous genocide, regardless of color and creed.
Yes, the Dolores Cannon videos that are at least 10 years old right now still come up on my feed, and she constantly talks about, where mankind is ascending. Sometimes she goes off on such tangents. I mean, I've heard more common sense from a wino in an inner city ghetto, just like spouting stuff in the street. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And I think to myself, she didn't live through the psyop.
Yeah,
I mean, would she have her picture? I got my,
yeah, I got my
I could just imagine, you
yeah,
know so the question goes beyond. So there's the aspect of cultural conditioning. but there's another aspect to human conditioning. And when you're in the arts, you know, your whole life, you're in with people who are into the left of center in terms of their thinking.
Yeah.
You've always done that. And social anthropologists that I have, I've studied that I am, you know, I've studied this very, very, very carefully about all the people who are on the left and maybe even in the middle of the road. The question, the crux of the matter that we're dealing with everything, the difference between you and me and them is that they cannot put their head on the pillow at night and go to sleep unless they essentially believe to the core that the earth and this planet is essentially a good place.
Yes.
That is the difference. You and I can put our head on the pillow. We don't sleep maybe as well or as comfortably as they do. I don't know. But you and I can put our head on the pillow with that realization.
Yeah.
Okay. That's one of the things that I wanted to bring up in all of the videos that you're doing with the other people. Okay. You know, when they speculate on this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a very important aspect. It's a maturity. I mean, they would never be able, I mean, they've brought children into the world. They feel that the earth is a good place. So that's why they brought children in the world, you know, to try the next sugary cereal that comes out. And, you know, it's, you know, it's sort of like that. And that is what we're dealing with here. And it's like you said, I was inspired recently that you said, like, I don't know if we're going to wake up the world, but, you know, damn it, I'm going to go down trying, you know, with the whole thing and alerting people and everything.
Yes.
You know, I think, you know, my posts, I think people like who believe the earth is essentially a good place, you know, just take them with a grain of salt. Oh, that's Joe.
Yeah,
know?
I mean, but this is fundamental to me as well, just what you brought up, because hands up, you know, holding my hands up, I did birth 2 children into a planet that where my felt sense told me it wasn't good here. So I've been through that feeling of like, what the fuck did I do that for? But I must admit, I did have a bit of hopium about 20 years ago. I thought it can't get worse. It's going to improve. And now we're finding out that for whatever reason, whoever it is that's doing it is determined to finish off humanity. But their fake story is that humanity has wrecked the earth, that is ours, the everyday, ordinary human that has never held power on this planet, that is ours that have wrecked the earth. And going to your point, like you said, of this toxic positivity, just for want of a better expression, I am getting very tired of people trying to argue against someone like you or me who are just saying it how it is, being able to speak upon isness and reality, which is it is not good. And also we can even tell you why. And we can even, I don't know, we can even point to the, I mean, I'm getting to the stage where I'm feeling like, when are we actually going to call out the people that are doing it? And I don't mean the cartoon characters of Schwab and Harari.
Right.
I'm talking about the influencers that are much closer to us, that are doing their damnedest to keep the human mind utterly infantilized and unable to think for themselves.
I know, as scary as you will eat bugs and you will be happy, that he's just like maybe halfway up on the pyramid. And again, explain, you know, of what's he's just like a middleman in this whole thing. And again, these people who need to feel the earth is a good place, they would never be able to comprehend the sociopathic, the psychopathic magnitude of what's really at the top of this pyramid. You and I can deal with it. That's the difference. You know, we can be mature about it, you know, and try to change it. So I think that's a lot of the reason why people don't wake up. Okay, they have to believe the earth is essentially a good place in order just to get through the day.
Absolutely. I mean, I have empathy for that. I understand that. I had my crutch to get through. It was called playing the violin, being a concert violinist. That was my crutch to get through this, like I like to call it now, the hell realm. You know, so I think you are spot on, Joe, when you say they're feeling like they've got to believe that things are okay or about to get better. I mean, my focus recently has been on really digging around, musing upon, researching upon, but also researching within. What is it and how is it done that this mind control is done? That means that every single human being actually feels that they deserve to be at the bottom of the pyramid and that they should not claim their authority on this planet, that they should not feel in any way that they are bigger than the identity that's been given, the Mr. and Mrs. Nobody. Because like you said, when you started speaking, Joan, you were talking about the celebrity culture. You know, you and I have been ranting about this for 3 years online, and I put ranting in inverted commas. Let's just say bringing our voices of truth out for the sake of truth, for the sake of showing up on the planet, instead of leaving everyone floundering. And that's not grandiose, but it's like, when are people going to ask themselves, are you just a Mr. and Mrs. Nobody? Why are you believing in the famous truther, the famous musician, the famous whomever? It's like, when is that mind control program going to be broken, guys? You know, when?
Well, we're not even culturally conditioned to be proactive about our health. I mean, we live in a culture of I call it the cult of the MD, you know, the physician, the cult of the. I mean, it's because of that what happened in the past 3 years could have happened. Without that, it could have never happened.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up, of course, you know, I mean, I remember the world before the Kennedy assassination, and there was a lot more, obviously, you know, for people with Jim Crow, it was not a perfect time, but it was a time of gravitas. Okay. I mean, there was a bad flu that came out when I was 5 years old that left the ports of Singapore. And there was one, you know, there were 3 television stations giving news, and they just said, oh, you know, there's a flu going around, and keep grandma, you know, maybe a little bit home, you know, until it gets better. And that's the extent of how it was handled. You know, that's all it was. It was the Singapore flu of 1957. Okay. And people, you know, in those days, my parents' generation fought in World War II or helped in World War II. They would have never fallen for a psyop like this, compared to the dumbing down that the society has had.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, psychiatrists have written so many books on child rearing with little or no qualifications, and on also adult psychology, and people are so anxious to do the right thing because they have no self-reference point, that they refer to everything outside themselves, including this dime store psychology. You know, that's you know, that's another reason why we're in the condition that we're in too. We've lost a certain gravitas.
Yes.
Okay.
About to be
right.
Pinocchio and the Lost Boys, like Funfair Planet Earth.
Right. Maybe they weren't, maybe my generation when we were growing up, maybe they weren't totally like self-actualized, but you know, but they were self-centered I don't mean self-centered in a bad way. They were centered in themselves, you know, more seriously than what we have today. And so, you know, it's like everybody became sloganeers for the narrative. I mean, when I was trying to sort this out in 2020, I put my posts on where I went to the doc and I go, who are these demons, you know, telling me my work is not essential and this person's work is essential? Who are these demons getting up on the TV telling me that? And it went from that, okay, to me having liquid chlorophyll in the morning. And in 2021, when I decided not to take the cocktail, then I became labeled a grandma killer.
Yeah, absolutely.
By people who eat cupcakes for breakfast.
Absolutely, Joe. Absolutely. And let's just, because we're being like super honest, I mean, I'm going to keep my, you know, perspective, as they like to call it on this planet. First of all, I don't even think there is such a thing as the killer plague, as I've said many times. I know there are many truthers positing it was a bioweapon, it was a this, it was a that. So I wasn't taking any precautions at all. I was just utterly horrified, like you said, that people fell for it. that people went into terror and trauma and stayed at home. And, you know, my ex-husband, who's the father of my children, he was a key worker as a headmaster at school. My children were then thrown at me to like, you get on with it. You put them online because the teachers ain't teaching. But you, as an international violinist, you don't go to work. You know, and maybe we can go into detail about some of this on the personal level, Joe, because as you know, that prior to 2020, you know, one aspect of my life was recording music at Abbey Road Studios for the global film industry. And they have behaved appallingly on their premises at Abbey Road. They carried on, by the way, as key workers, some of them, but you had to live in London and you had to use your own transport. So now we have a pecking order of the A team, the B team, the C team, the D team, and the you're never going to be seen again team, you know? And yeah. And one of my friends who was not awake at the time, but woke up over the last year and a half, they were going in, socially distancing in the studio with their masks. They were allowing PCR tests in a room in Abbey Road Studios, being monitored by the health professionals. It's been a shit show. And of course, the excuse was because it's been going on even up until the last few months, and it still may be going on. I need to check in, but it's not stopped in Abbey Road Studios. If Disney asks and Netflix asks and someone else asks the client, the musicians have to carry on with their masks, their PCR testing for a plague that doesn't exist, with a test that was deemed pathetic and of no use by its creator. And so this evil goes on and pushed on all of us by what I can only call black magicians.
Mm-hmm.
What else can I say?
I mean, and the narrative came out even in the mainstream that people who get the shot still pass this along. So it doesn't matter that people who, you know, I mean, there's been no apology issue to us for the persecution we've had after, you know, the whole narrative was proved false, even in the mainstream media.
Yeah.
Okay, what we were aware of, and that's horrific. You know what you're telling me about. What a caste system! My God, you're like the pariah now, right?
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, and as you know, Joe, I spoke out online because we were in lockdown and I was now not living in London. You know, I'm up north with my kids, still supposedly going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Because I spoke from the heart and honestly from the beginning, as a sort of using Facebook as a global notice board, like guys, there was it was just utter attack. And so you're not wanted. Everyone's attacking you like, how dare you say this? How dare you do this? And what the hell? And you're like, people literally treating other more awake and higher consciousness human beings as like lower retarded children. That's how they're behaving towards us.
Well, you
It's
know,
unacceptable.
people don't have a well-developed sense of purpose. It goes back to the initial part of our discussion that comes along with the lack of reference point. They don't have a well-developed sense of purpose. And this episode now gave them, to be sloganeers for this narrative, gave them a sense of purpose in life.
Yeah.
You know, to attach themselves to this agenda and to virtue signal all of us this way.
Yeah.
You know, I really think that's what's going on. That's what's operative. You know, they have so little sense of like purpose, and so now I can attach myself to something grandiose. Okay, I can be a sloganeer for medical apartheid.
Yeah. Yeah, I can bring in genocide and contribute and collude with genocide, but I will be a helper of humanity because they said so. The authorities said so. I mean, it has taken me all this time as well as speaking up for my instinct, my knowing, and my intuition that I now call the cosmic child heart for my shortcut.
I love that, by the way.
Oh, I'm glad, Joe.
I love you so, and I love you so much too.
And I love you too. It's like I have been forced to root around in their lies, you know. And my partner is great as well, you know, he is an incredible cosmic investigator. So I have been forced to research the lies told, because I kind of thought it would be more obvious from the instinctual aspect. Because I'm just watching the time, Joe. We've got 7 minutes, so when it goes off, we'll come back in. But I'd had this feeling from childhood. I bet you can relate to this, but in a different way, that it was only a matter of time before everyone came out of camouflage, that everyone took off their costumes and stopped playing their roles and took down their masks, you know, almost like a Mozartian magic flute mask, you know. I really was clinging on to that from childhood. Like, it's just a matter of time before everyone shows themselves. And when I heard the Killer Plague story, I thought, that's it, it's now. And what happened? Bam. Humanity brainwashed. Bam.
Oh, it was inevitable. One thing I do have to add about my childhood also, as far as because, you know, my parents come from Southern Italian culture. Okay, so so it's kind of like, I don't know if I had the advantage. I probably would have been this way anyway. But like everything in this world was like guilty until proven innocent anyway.
Same.
Yeah, most people don't grow up in that. Every newfangled thing is good eating. You know what I'm saying? Hydrogenated oil and peanut butter. Oh, sure. Yeah, let's get that. You know, but so I mean, you know, I did grow up. You know, my father, and to a certain extent my mother, they were very, very practical about negative influences trying to corrupt us. So I did, you know, I didn't have that, like the way most people grow up, especially people left of center, where everything that comes out in societies is almost accepted as the right thing.
Yeah,
you know, there was censorship and judgment about things, and there was an awareness of corrupting influences in my childhood.
Yeah.
And most people don't have that. And it's certainly, since my soul note was very much that way too, very iconoclastic and very contrarian, you know, to be, so I resonated with that, you know, very well. That was, like I said at the beginning, I chose my imprintings, you know, kind of, you know, so that makes me an oddball in the Facebook world of me and my shadow, me and my shadow going down the avenue. Okay. That's the one area of Love and Light. That's the one digression from Love and Light. Like we all have shadows. Instead of the shadows, like I said to you a year ago, and you said on one of your videos, Joe in New York said, you know, the shadows are being cast on us. All right. We're not looking at those, you know, we're not looking at any of those.
Yeah.
You know, and
yeah, go on. Sorry, Joe.
No, it's okay, you know. And you know, I'm noticing lately on Facebook, there are people who are just on it all day long.
Yeah.
I mean, they're using it to get confirmation about something, and they're not settled in their minds about things, so they're making videos all the day long, you know, try, you know, whether Jesus is the Son of God or whether this or it's like, and they're like figuring out, they're trying to like get answers from people, and they're making videos all day long, and I go, oh my God, I would never have, first of all, I would never have the time to do such a thing. You know? So, you know, I see so much insecurity in people too, and they're using Facebook, you know, to get confirmation for their insecurities.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's like, it has become this really like painful performer audience setup. Like, people are expressing stuff and they're waiting for the agreement and the approval of others. And they're getting it in bucket loads if they're positive, you know, like, I'm living my best life, you know, like I've created my reality, and they literally are mind controlled. And like you said, there's a lot of debate and trying to prove you know, what to me is all mind control. It's all mind control. I mean, I can't say who was on this planet before I was here. How can I? I don't have the memory. This is where, I mean, we'll talk about this because we've got 3 minutes, so we'll come off, we'll talk about this again. This is where I want to, what I would really love is for more of us in humanity to actually put the whole thing on the table, because I'm very disturbed about my friends that did see through the jabbings, but are just carrying on calling themselves priestesses, goddesses, therapists, healers, in service to humanity, but they cannot speak upon isness and reality. You know, like the whole of it, you know, because to me, human nature is benevolent, but it has been hideously mind controlled or corrupted, as you would say, Joe. So shall we go out and come back in?
Tell me what I have to do.
All we're going to do is you're going to go and press the red button that says end the meeting.
I have
and
leave. It says leave. I have leave meeting.
yeah, I'm just going to stop the recording before you go. Hang on.